session during the meeting.
Right.
You hit the highlights on it.
Yeah.
You ready?
5:30, yeah.
You ready?
You don't have a gavel?
I don't have a
Sorry.
gavel.
Kaylee's not here. Sit up and tell him it's time.
Mr. King, would you lead us in prayer?
Sir.
Mr. Andrew, lead us in pledge.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this precious day. Give us the knowledge to understand this day, Heavenly Father. You put everything in your hand and guide us and direct us. Do what is best for this community, Lord. In precious name I pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call, Mr. Randy Rance,
Here, yeah, here.
Judith Ann McKee. Here. Melinda Ballard,
Here.
Baron Glass.
Here.
Maria Bass. Here. James King.
Here.
Gary Castles.
Here.
All right.
All right. First item on the agenda is approved job descriptions.
All right, so let's start with the one, you got that? Okay. Let's start with the one that that you approved the position, or not you approved the position, but that I told you about with the ESSER money at the last meeting. That's called the Secondary Academic Recovery Specialist. So with the grant money that we have received from the federal government, our COVID relief money called our ESSER money, one of the recommendations, and it was approved in our grant, was for a secondary academic recovery specialist. And the nutshell of it is in the description and goals, is that this person will support our 9 through 12 faculty, staff, and students. They'll work directly with the high school leadership team to serve the faculty, staff, and students to ensure student success. One of the biggest things is student re-engagement after this year of them being out. And then with quarantines and virtual and back and forth, there is a huge need to re-engage our students into school, wanting to be in school, earning their Carnegie credits. And so that's the process here. And so what this person will do is they'll conduct meaningful weekly PLCs, which are learning communities for teachers, work directly with teachers to provide classroom-based support to make sure that our lessons are fun and engaging and rigorous so that our students want to be in their classrooms. Last year with the protocols, we found that they were on Chromebooks 7 periods a day. It was walk into this classroom, you're on a Chromebook, walk into this one. And so we know that coming back, they're going to have that thought is that school is boring, all I do is sit in front of a computer all day. And so this person will work with teachers to plan lessons that are fun and engaging, and they'll also work with tracking students' academic progress, those that have failed, those that didn't get Carnegie credits. We have those in summer school right now trying to recover those Carnegie credits so that we can have them graduate on time. We've got a huge gap because of attendance and what they were able to accomplish this past year. So this person will work with district leaders, school administration, teachers to collect, analyze, interpret, and use data to help support the instruction and make those decisions for that. So you'll see that we're looking at, they of course have to have a Louisiana teaching certificate with a master's degree. We would prefer that they have 3 years of leadership experience because we don't know what we're looking at. There might be some outside people, there might be some inside people that do, but then in the knowledge, skills, and experience, we're looking at a minimum of 5 effective years of experience in secondary content. So these people will be working with high schools, teachers, and high school students. So we feel like it's very important that this person know what it's like to be in a high school classroom and work with high school students.
Would you be working with the guidance people at all?
Yes, with the guidance counselor and with Ms. Ann Burns, but Ms. Ann does the tracking of freshmen. This one would be helping Ms. Johnson and Ms. Burns with all students. It's massive.
Oh,
The number of students who are behind after this past year.
I'm sure. Well, what about Miss Wells? Does she keep up with some kind of
Well,
score? Is that her job?
she's testing and accountability,
Uh-huh.
and the Carl Perkins. I'm sure that there will be hand in hand with Miss Wells, because there are students in Jumpstart
Oh, yeah.
who are lacking their credentials as well. So
Oh, yeah.
we're going to have them graduate on time with what they need.
Yeah.
This person will help to stay on top of. You know, high school students don't always see the urgency of what they've got to do, and sometimes our parents aren't engaged, and sometimes our parents don't know. And so this is also a burden that we've got to try to get past, is making
And
sure
I know I
everybody's
don't need
aware.
to ask this question. I do know that you will be monitoring these people closely to make sure everybody is getting along.
Oh, yes, yes.
All do what we,
Well, and part of
Supposed to be
this
there.
is that they have to work with, and it talks about in the essential job responsibilities, conduct weekly status reports for principals and district leadership team members, conduct high-quality PLCs, focusing on increasing teacher instructional abilities and identifying and targeting at-risk students. Assist principal in conducting bi-weekly school leadership. So we were very specific as to what we wanted this person to do.
Hey, Nick, can we put, because, you know, we've done this before, and I'm 100% for it, the end of the first semester and the second semester, that you give us a report as to how this person may be, you know, complying and doing.
Yeah, we can do that.
Because they're reporting directly to you, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So if, like Ms. McKee was asking, if, and I'm assuming that, I'm trying to get a just, if there's any decisions that's gotta be made, how does that flow as far as the chart? Like, because if the principal is involved and the, let's say the elementary or secondary person is involved and this person is involved, how would that go as far as the decision making? Or would it ever come to that?
Well, I would be the one who evaluates this person, so everything would come to me.
Okay.
I mean, and that's kind of how we do with our principals and our other leaders, is that there's, the district leaders are there for support
Okay.
and for coaching and helping, but ultimately I'm the one who does the evaluation.
Yeah, because I mean, what she's saying, you know, you can kind of see those person, not that it would happen, but just in case if
Oh, yeah.
it did, you know, something like
Yeah.
that could already be, you know, hashtag, because I'm almost certain that everybody that's involved, they're already familiar. And I don't, I mean, if this is lateral, which I think.
This one is not lateral. This
Okay.
one is 12 months. I'm glad you brought that
Okay.
up. This one is a 12-month position at the high school. So it would be a teacher's salary with the additional 3 months.
Okay.
So it's not to it's not to the level of a supervisor or a principal or a supervisor. It's underneath. So
Okay, I'm glad I asked. 'Cause
Yeah,
so
I am too.
We
Yeah.
probably need to add on here, undergo background check too, if it's not
Oh.
on here.
also,
That's standard, huh?
I think that's standard with a certificate,
Okay.
a teaching certificate.
Okay.
Which anytime that we hire, if we were to hire somebody outside, they
Well, yeah, I mean,
definitely have to.
if they're working with kids,
Yeah.
they should be, you know,
Oh
anyway.
yeah, oh yeah,
okay, so when you work as a teacher for so long, after so many years, don't your pay go up?
oh yeah. It goes up every year.
So they'll get that, let's say, Miss Carla over there applied for the job, she's been working 10 years, she'll go in with this job, just what she's
Yes,
making now.
yes, right. You just take the salary that they're earning and multiply it times 12 nights.
12 nights.
Yeah. So you want them to report to the board, like at the end of each
Yeah,
semester?
just give us, you know,
Yeah.
since it's something, yeah, so we can kind of, not to,
Well, see, these ladies, these wonderful people you have in place here, they come every month and I love it. I know what they're doing,
Yes,
and
We
they
can-
can come
absolutely.
every 6 weeks.
yeah, what I'm saying is like, you know, how you think the program is going,
Yeah.
not necessarily the person. Because I
Oh,
mean,
okay,
that's
not the
coming, yeah,
person.
that's flowing through you anyway, just kind of,
Okay.
you know, since it's something new.
Just
something
an
kind of-
update.
An update.
Yeah.
Okay,
Update.
okay, got it.
Because I think it would be good, if, especially if this is, you know, something new, like I told you on the phone, that person would be creating, you know, their own spice,
Yes.
so to speak. So
Yes.
if they're doing good, I mean, we like to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Thank the Lord, bless us, we'll have somebody in the system that knows us and knows everybody, that's a go-getter that wants his job.
Yes,
And they will help pick up these kids that last year
yes.
weren't going and
Yes.
attending, and they will
Yes.
help make sure that we get them what we need
Yes,
to get them.
it's another person who is checking up after them and trying to re-engage them in the school,
Yeah,
you know.
good.
So-
And so part of that is tracking and helping the student individually, and part of that is helping the teachers make your lessons so that they
Yeah.
want to come to school, you know. And
Like
they-
art class or whatever, just
absolutely,
will bring them
absolutely,
in.
yeah.
So nigga, they'll make attempts to contact. So if they make, after, 2 or 3 attempts, we still need that person in school. So if they'll kind of,
Yeah.
maybe, officers can kind of coexist where we may have to send out.
It's gonna
Okay.
take all of us working
Yeah,
together.
okay. Well, I'll get what
Absolutely. I
y'all,
agree.
you kind of follow what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's going to be the same, especially with some of those parents.
And
who
you
just-
have my permission, and if they can't work together with everybody, you have my permission to fire them.
Well, that is never my intent, is to fire anybody. It's always to help support.
We
But
don't get somebody going.
But this is funded by a grant.
this is funded
For 3
by
years.
ESSER, so it's a 3-year
Yes.
position, and on the
Yes.
back of it, it says this is a 3-year position and becomes
Yeah.
extinct at the end of this grant.
But the thing,
So you
about
think
it,
that's
the
a
reason
deterrent?
I'm sure Gary
I
said
mean,
that.
it might be,
We have so
but
many
I mean, it might
naysayers.
not be.
We
So
need
if
to
we-
hire
if we
some
don't
more
get
people. Where
anybody
you gonna get that one?
to, apply, we just read, do we go as is, what do
I
we
think
do?
we're gonna have people apply.
You know?
I
Yeah,
mean,
because this
yeah.
would be added credentials to your.
Absolutely, it's another example of leadership, and we're trying to work on developing a leadership pipeline of people who are in roles and can step into others, so it would be a nice stepping stone.
Well, Nick, I think on this, if this is what we're gonna do, then I think we need to look at on all of them, the most qualified person, because this is gonna be a job that's probably, hectic, and they're gonna be
And it will be
noticed.
an interview committee.
Yeah.
It will be me and,
Yeah.
probably Angela and Mr. Simmons and Ms. Wells and Mr. Wells.
Y'all still use a rubric?
We do,
Okay.
we do.
Well, I'm sure y'all have an idea exactly how you want this to be, but
To look.
yeah, but it's gonna,
Go ahead.
this is gonna be a job that's gonna evolve
It
and
will.
grow.
It
It's
will.
not gonna
It will.
be
It will.
something you
And
can jump in
hopefully
do.
it's something that we work our way out of needing, because we hope that students will not need to be recovered for much longer than 3 years.
But there's a lot of these things that we could carry on possibly through
Absolutely.
the guidance program,
Yes.
as far as like mentor teachers and things like that.
I agree, I agree. I think we'll learn a lot through this process
Will their office be here or will it be at the high school?
at the high school. Yeah, that way they're completely
Right there.
immersed in the high school work.
But they report directly to you?
That's the way it's written. That's the way the others that we've modeled after were written, so, yes. All right, so that's one. Do y'all want to vote on these separately, or do you want to vote on
We
this
do them all
package?
together.
Okay.
Together is fine.
Okay, all right, the next one is, the district literacy specialist. And this is one that has come up since our last board meeting. So I went to the superintendent conference in Lafayette, and around the same time, Miss Rebecca Meredith was at the SPED conference, and our teacher leaders and district leaders were at the teacher leader conference in New Orleans. And at all 3 of these, information was coming down about this push with literacy. And it is, number one, the state superintendent's initiative is to put a focus on literacy. But number 2, because of COVID and the school closures, as well as the, virtual and quarantines, there is an extra emphasis on making sure that our students don't have so much learning loss that it sets them up for failure as they go through the grades. And so they're recommending that we use that grant money, our ESSER money, to fund a district literacy specialist. And so this one, I'll go back to the description and goals. This person will support K-5 faculty and staff in implementing the Caldwell Parish School Board Literacy Plan, which does not exist. So this person will actually help write that. The specialist will serve as a literacy content expert, provide support on curriculum, high-quality interactions, and the science of teaching reading. There's a big push at the state level about teaching the science behind how kids learn to read. They'll work directly with teachers in schools to provide classroom-based demonstrations, collaborative and one-on-one support, and facilitating teacher inquiry and related professional development. They'll focus on enhancing teachers' ability to provide instruction that accelerates student engagement and reading ability. They'll work with district leadership, school administration, and teachers to collect, analyze, interpret, and use literacy data, and to guide instruction. And so if you look down at those essential job responsibilities, it really kind of takes all that. And we were, again, very specific as far as the literacy data that it has to. This will encompass our dyslexia screening, the ERLA and the ARC, and the Spire phonics program that's coming out. The state has a new program called Accelerate, which it's not an opt-in, opt-out. You must provide tutoring to students within the school day. So we can have after-school programs, but you have to have an in-school, because sometimes our students can't stay for after-school. So they're requiring us to build time into the day to work on literacy. So this specialist will help develop those schedules to be sure that we're identifying who needs extra support and how they're going to get it every single day.
Oh,
And then how they're going to monitor it to see if they're moving up in their levels. So
been there,
it's-
done that. Whoa.
Yeah.
Phil,
So it's going to take somebody to do that.
you better believe it.
And again, this is a 3-year covered by the grant to recover what learning loss there has been. That's how we're able to use that grant money. And again, if we see in 3 years that we need to mesh this or need to continue funding this, that will be a decision we make in 3 years.
Where will this person be housed?
This person will probably be housed here.
We got room?
We're going to make the room.
We could buy the church. buy
We've
the church.
become very good at consolidating closets here. But because they'll be working so closely with Miss Adams and Miss Meredith and all 3 elementary schools, it makes sense that you're in on those conversations. So, yes.
It's a lot of responsibility with this job.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, it's you
And
know,
without this position, it would fall on Kim Adams,
and
in
then,
addition to everything else.
you know, just dealing with teachers to collect and analyze literacy data, you know, hopefully those relationships, you know, it won't be looked upon as, you know, competition or,
Right.
you know, demand. I mean, we all got to work together, because you know, we're kind of behind from COVID,
We are.
even though we don't want to acknowledge it, not just us, I'm talking about our school system. So I think now more importantly, working together, you know,
I agree.
is going to be
I agree.
When do we get our
crucial.
test scores?
I agree. Last week of July. Yeah. But I'm very thankful that this opportunity came up when it did and the funding came down, and so I'm just like, okay, these things happen and there's by no accident, so let's move on it and make that happen. Again, it's a 3-year funded by that grant. So, all right, any other discussion on that?
This is, right,
Pardon? It's a 12-month position.
yeah, okay.
All right, early childhood. So I don't know anything about this, other than a little bit of conversations. I'll let Monica talk about it.
So, back in the fall, we did the coordinators for they had to reapply, but to the people that were already the leaders in the pre-K and at our Head Start. So, Miss Meredith and I were talking about, we see there's so many children identified, and her team comes in and they do the testing, and sometimes it's hard for them to do the testing because those children, they don't know them, you know. And that we wish we had someone in-house that knew the kids, that screened the kids, with a screener that's a valid, you know, something they could rely on, that from that data, they could decide if they needed to be referred. And then we have it with transitions. When they leave pre-K, go to kindergarten, that's a whole new world. And every year, it never fails, they're calling from the elementary schools, hey, can your sped teacher come, can your sped teacher, and there's no way she can go be at all those places to help those babies when they need to transition, and to tell those teachers, you can tell them about them in the summer, but until they're actually seeing that child and what it doesn't mean anything, it's just on paper.
Amen, that's
Right, so someone that could do that, because she can't leave her kids to go take care of those kids, because
right.
they're there. So we instead of just making it another coordinator that just kind of divvied up other duties, we wanted to make it a very specific early childhood SPED coordinator. This person will work with our 3-year-olds, even early steps, the ones that get tested sometimes coming in from early steps. This will be the person that helps with B to coordinate that. All the 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, and when school is starting, they will be the person who would go to the elementary schools and, with the principals, sped teachers, whatever, and give them, they'll do that familiar face to that child to help them, and, you know, at that time of year, she may go every day. It's whatever the child needs. But she will, we said a master's degree and certification in early intervention or SPED, because we want someone, kind of like what we said already, that knows this already. We don't want someone coming in that thinks maybe they're interested in SPED. We want someone that knows SPED, that has worked with kids and has worked in early childhood, early intervention, and has that experience with writing IEP goals for students. So, the more we talked about it, Rebecca and I, we were really excited, because this is gonna help her team some in the initial parts too. And that we, this person would see that family as a 3-year-old, as a 4-year-old, and even can be at that transition meeting as a 5-year-old. So it'll be that person that the parent can learn to trust and, talk to if they have problems. And we've talked about the home visits and building those relationships. So with all of our SPED children from 3 up, well, 3 to 5 in our programs, this will be their mentor, their person, someone they can trust and go to.
Where's this money coming from?
No new money. It'll be from Head Start, just where we're kind of shifting some things around, but Head Start and Ready Start, those two news, so Ready Start's that news source.
Okay.
That way, she is able to span different areas.
Okay.
Not just tied to Head Start, not just tied to the pre-K, but no new money.
Okay.
All of our.
Am I allowed to ask you, do you have, because you said do you have someone that you feel like will apply for this job that knows the children?
We have people in our
Good.
program that are qualified.
Good.
Hey, Monica, just kind of enlighten me if you can, if it doesn't take too long. What determines special ed for a 3 or 4-year-old? I mean, what criteria? Because I can kind of see. Go ahead.
You're talking about the adults or the kids?
The kid.
Okay.
Yes, some are speech. You know,
Mhm.
sometimes speech will qualify.
Mhm.
A lot of times it's developmental delays.
Mhm.
We had a child this year that came in, who's 3 years old, but his
Mhm.
developmental level was less than a year.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's environmental.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's, you know, it's just how they work. And what we've seen is that there are children that by 5, they can be dismissed.
Yeah, because that's the reason I was getting at, because I've seen where a kid had a speech impediment,
Right.
but when they got what's our little girl, our teacher here, Ashley, one of the twins, the Wilkes. She dealt with them, and the kid is now graduating, as an honor student,
Yeah.
but got out of it. So I can see how misdiagnosis can go on
Right,
if
right.
it's not looked upon. So I was just kind of wondering, what's some
Well, a
of the
lot of times
criteria?
parents come in. Parent will come in when we do our initial screenings, and they'll tell you, oh, they're this and this and this is wrong. When you do the screening, there's really nothing wrong. They're just a typical 3-year-old.
Right, because in some homes,
Right.
the parent kind of sometimes teach the kid the wrong word,
Right,
and then they
right.
come. I mean, sometimes it's called.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's
A
called.
dialect,
Yeah.
just
So,
what
so
we
when we
say.
were in college, they were taught, to say mama, not mama, and all that
Right.
other kind of stuff. Teaching
Right.
one word. So I was just kind of wondering how
Yeah.
that worked. At,
A lot of ours are speech, and then there are some developmental, and then there are kids, more and more we're seeing autism. You know,
Yeah.
that comes in, and that's, I would say, easy to identify, but
Mhm.
it's easily diagnosed.
So,
Not
so for
diagnosed,
special
but-
ed parents, if there's an agency that's out there who can be on the, I guess the whatever list that you have for the option, how are they aware of that? Like for services during the summertime and stuff like that.
I mean, we try our best to make
Right.
them aware, and a lot of them already know.
Mhm.
Especially if they came through early steps,
Mhm.
they know a lot of those providers.
Mm-hmm.
We can give them a list of providers, but we can't say, hey,
Yeah, freedom of choice.
right.
Yeah, but
right.
they do get that information.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this year, our 3-year-olds were able to come to summer camp.
They were included in our
Really?
summer camp.
Yeah, because
Or they-
it's good because I'm just looking at what we've gone through this last year versus what we're going to see in 3 years with
Right.
a kindergartner who wasn't able to read or a
Right.
first grader. When they get to third grade, if something is not corrected, then we'll start seeing what.
Exactly.
And that's just my word
Yeah.
for the
And
next
we just
4
want to
years.
we want to jump in and
Yeah.
be proactive.
Yeah.
We don't want to be 3 years to 4 years down
Yeah.
and be like, oh goodness,
Right.
wish we had seen that coming.
Right, and the reality, we
Yeah.
won't catch all of them, but if we can catch the ones that
Right.
that want it, I think we'll be pretty good with it.
Well, and you have the times that you identify somebody
Mhm.
and the mom that want it.
Right.
They may have been a SPED child themselves and they didn't like it, and so they denied.
They can
And that's
refuse,
where, and so,
Yeah.
that's where we hope that having
even if it's in the
somebody-
best interest? Really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
That don't,
It doesn't happen often, but it
Yeah.
does happen. They will flat out refuse it. They don't-
yes, it did.
do you try to?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And even when they say no, we continue to,
Mhm.
you know, this is what, because once they're
I didn't know
identified,
that.
they don't have to sign that IEP, but they're still, you know, and you've got that data, so you can continue, if they change their mind, then you can go back to it.
And again, I don't know if I can say this, but I'm gonna say it. You know, we had one student that came, and it was accident, I knew it was because I was here for the first day of summer school down on campus with Andrew, cause he had practice, but, we had a student that was picked up at 10 o'clock. And the bus driver had to go get them at 10, and they had to have an aid because it was special ed. I would have enjoyed summer school getting out, I hope so.
I think that they all
I
enjoyed
hope
summer
so.
school.
I hope so.
It was a great experience.
And he can't stay very long, but he went back.
Well, I
We're so blessed to be able to offer
I
that
have
to his kids.
my great granddaughter, let me tell you, she loved it, and the reason was, she got out of most academic into.
Oh, yeah.
And,
We snuck that learning in.
But they learned it, they just didn't realize.
They just didn't realize it.
But she was so enthused about it, and she really loved it.
That's great.
And I think what had happened is, with the pandemic, a lot of the, interaction with the fellow students had been, negated. But I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna be quiet. Man, we got the old folks are a rough road to hoe. But I believe in my heart it can be done. Cause, I'm not bragging, but this, I said it from a long time ago, then I brought it back. This is a unique board of people. And I still mean that.
Does,
I really do.
Thank you.
Monica, but the IEP, whether they sign it or not, that's abided by, because that's federal. That's what,
If they don't sign it, we can't do it.
now, that's not what Tanya, I mean, back years ago, the IEP was the rule.
it's a Bible.
But the parent has to
It
agree
has
to
to-
allow
if the
us to
parent
do it.
agrees to- Parent has to agree to it.
Well, that didn't happen back when, you know, other, because, yeah, that
You can
IEP
go
was,
through- If they give you permission to evaluate, you can go through that evaluation, and a lot of times they'll let you screen them, they'll let you start. the
right, because the
process.
IEP is basically telling you what's wrong with the child.
Right.
which
Well,
you can't
eval-
teach 'em if you don't-
take the eval and use that to make your goals on the
Right.
IEP, but no, they don't have to agree to it.
Yeah, they don't have to, I knew they didn't have to sign it, but the IEP was what the child needed. And
Right.
so how can you give them a free and appropriate education if they're not accepting what they need?
Well, that we try, but if they don't accept, then we can't.
Yeah, I mean, because that's contradictory. I mean, you can't say I need water and then you try to give it to me and I don't drink
Right,
it.
right.
This,
I mean, it looks like it would be something you could
Yeah.
start over to child protection,
Right.
because there's not, but.
when you read this is almost like a special ed coordinator, special ed supervisor, just about.
For
I
early
mean,
childhood.
when you read through,
Yeah.
yeah, when you read
Yeah.
through, it's
They'll
quite
do
a
lot,
job.
But they, I don't know, and there's years that there's a lot of kids, and there's years there's not. But
Well, look at this.
our goal in talking about it was that they will go in those classrooms and help, so a child doesn't qualify.
Right.
They're right on there, but they don't qualify, giving those teachers strategies that they could use with that child that'll help pick them on up, you know, to get them maybe on level.
No, I know this is going to be short. I mean, so if there's an IEP, okay, and that's what the school is basing, that would be in the best interest of this child, parent refuses it. To me, that's making it hard on the teacher. So if the teacher's going to get evaluated, he or she is set up to fail because you're trying to give them something, but they're rejecting it. But I'm evaluated on what I'm trying to give that's rejected. That's just not fair.
It's super frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, so in cases like that, in favor of a teacher, what do we do? I mean, I'm not just asking now, just,
Right.
you know, out loud. So what?
We stay on it and we try to educate the parents
But
to
if
get
I-
them
if
on
I'm a
board with
teacher,
us.
And I'm trying to do this. It's no way, I mean, I'm not gonna let you come in and evaluate me on something that I can't give. So it's like I'm not giving 100%. And you fail. I mean, it's just not, it's not fair.
And most teachers, they try to work with them, you know, and
But they try, but you're still, it's like you're 50% at disadvantage already.
And Baron, in my whole time at the pre-K, I've had one parent refuse.
Mhm,
So I
okay.
mean, it happens.
Okay.
It does
Well,
happen.
well, that's
I've had
good.
one time, yeah.
I'm gonna say this out loud. I came down to do my hours, and I was there. And then I wandered across this program, okay, we put in, and one of the things that overwhelmed me was the superintendent of state said, one of our biggest problems is funding the entire Louisiana school district. And this right here really gonna help us.
It is. It's, we've got to
And
use
I
this
went on this,
money.
I was that fled
Yeah.
because I really was interested in it, because, hey, that's a big issue there.
Does any of the other parishes have this, or is it coming?
They're all writing. We were all getting job descriptions from each other and sharing and trying to help, so.
Whoever we hire in these positions, just let them, for introduction purposes, if they can come to the next
Sure,
meeting,
that's a great idea.
just so we can,
Yeah.
meet.
Yeah, we do have to vote.
Oh, yeah, you have to.
I
vote.
make a motion that we accept these job descriptions.
I'll second it.
That's your first and second.
We need a roll call on this one. All right, all in favor say aye. Do I hear?
Make a motion that we
There you
adjourn.
go.